right, good afternoon, everyone. Yes, my name is Jay Stevens. I am a third-year MDiv, and I hail you from our nation's capital, Washington, D.C. It's my birthplace, and yes, amen. And I ended up coming to LPTS by way of Baltimore. I was in Baltimore. Well, let me just tell you the real story in 30 seconds. The real story. You want to keep it 100. I was a junior at Morgan State, and one night I had a dream. Not like Martin Luther King's dream, but like physically had a dream. Like I laid down and went to sleep. And in the dream, I moved to Kentucky, right? I didn't really know anything of Kentucky. I know there's some Kentucky natives. I think it's an awesome place. So I was just, what I did was I talked to my pastor, and I was like, I had this dream, and I really think God is calling me to Kentucky. And he was like, no, Jay, you're just zealous, I know that you want to go into ministry. He was like, God didn't tell you that. And so that's what he told me. He said, God didn't tell you that. So I told my mother, and she was like, you definitely have missed God. He didn't tell you that. Because you don't know anyone there. What are you going to do there? And so I was doing a Google search, and I was like, I really need to go to seminary because I really know that God is calling me into ministry. And the first seminary that popped up was Louisville Presbyterian Theological Seminary. And I was like, God might really be talking to me, like, for real. And so, I'm so excited. I start telling, my mother and my pastor what happened, and they were like, that's just coincidental. So what ends up happening is a friend of mine, said some things, and she, I felt that it was a divine moment. I'll say it like that. And what she said actually came to pass. And it turns out that I ended up coming out to Kentucky to visit the seminary the first time. And I remember driving down, I wasn't driving, so let me not lie about that. I was riding in the car with someone, and we were driving down Lexington Road. And I saw these houses, and I was like, certainly the seminary is not in this area. I was like, okay, this is really, we're taking the scenic route. This is really nice. I was really excited. I was like, it must be like, I don't know, somewhere else, because it's not here. And so then they turned in, and I was like, the seminary is in this is where the seminary is? I was like, oh yeah, God is telling me to come here. God is definitely telling me to come here. And so I got there, and it was so peaceful. It was so serene. Not because of the houses across the street, but because it was really, you could feel the presence of God. And it turned out, I said, I definitely want to do this. But at the time, I wasn't able financially, to be quite honest with you. So I ended up going back kind of discouraged. And a couple years later, because I visited, but I was not yet truthfully living here, I actually had moved here. And my mom was riding the bus. And I had just prayed the day before. And I was like, God, I know, you want me to go to seminary, but the only way I can go is if you provide a way. And in church, some churches, we say where there's vision, there's provision. That's what people say. And so I said, there's got to be some sort of, I need you to move. And she got on the bus, and she came home that day, and she was like, very interestingly, I was on the bus, and there was this lady on the bus, and she was saying that, at Louisville Seminary, they have this special program where you can basically go to school debt-free. And I was like, that's incorrect. You've heard that. That's not correct. Because I was like, no, because I just prayed 2 days ago. That is incorrect. She was like, no, I know I heard this lady correctly. I was like, I'll tell you what, let's go down there tomorrow, and I'll prove to you that what you've heard is not true. And so we went, and at that time, Reverend Emily was working. And so that was the first question. She was like, hi, how are you? And I was like, so I heard, I didn't even say hello to her. I was like, I heard this. My mother said this because the person that was sitting by my mom on the bus was alumni. And she was like, no, it's true. I was like, say no more. I want to apply. Well, I applied. And at that time, I didn't know all that I would encounter and how I would grow, how I would be impacted, how my life would be transformed. I had no clue about that. I was just walking by faith. when I got here, my time has expired, Dr. Mumford. You know, my 5 minutes is up, because I've had her for basic preaching, so I know she's like, sit down, Jay. But, sit down. Sit on down. But if I could borrow 30 more seconds. So I got here, and I met incredible people like Dr. Mumford and Dean Gray and Dr. Mayfield and Mrs. Henley, who gave me one of my first jobs on campus. And I'll tell you that when I received the presidential scholarship, my life was transformed. Because I had never really been appreciated in academic environments, never got awards, never knew what that was like until I got to this school. A lot of the systemic barriers that I faced, they came down for me here. And yes, thank you. Thank you. And I can say, it's hard not to get emotional when you know where God has brought you from. But I'll say that I've traveled, I've gotten a chance to go out of the country because of this school. I'm going to Israel because of this school. You know, I remember hearing when I was little, a gentleman say, we need to level the playing field. We were in church. And I didn't know what he was talking about. I think I was like 8 years old, but that stuck with me. I didn't know what that meant. And for some reason, from that time until I got here, I wondered, what does it mean to level the playing field? What does it mean for everyone to really have an opportunity? What does it mean to be in an environment where people truly cultivate you? I've been in an environment here where I have been Black, but I'm not beaten up because I'm Black. I've been in an environment here where people truly, truly invest in our futures. I have been in the beloved community. Now, I don't know if I will get another opportunity to be in another beloved community, but this is my home. Even when I'm finished, this is still my home, and I'm still gonna come back. I'm still gonna be here. I'll probably harass people like Dr. Mumford and some others. But I just wanna say to everyone here and to the trustees, you know, I'm sure there are more Jays out there. I'm positive. No, thank you. But there are people who are looking for opportunities, who need the opportunity, and I wish that every place in the United States was just like LPTS. Thank you so very much.